Recording in progress.
Good evening. I'm Providence Councilwoman Joanne Ryan. Welcome to the Committee on Finance regular meeting. It is Thursday, April 21, 2022. Madam Clerk, could you please read the roll?
Chairwoman Joanne Ryan.
Present.
Vice Chairwoman Carmen Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Nicholas Narducci, absent. Councilwoman Helen Handley, absent. Councilman James Taylor.
Here.
We had 3 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Do we have, I see Ken Chavarini, our city solicitor, is with us. Thank you, Solicitor Chavarini. Any other council people, Madam Clerk? I don't see any. Okay. All right, we have our auditor. We have our auditor with us, Gina Costa. We have Councilman Oscar Vargas with us this evening. Thank you. We have our Chief of Staff and Treasurer, Jim Lombardi, and I also see Sarah Silveria, the Director of Finance. Okay. All right, so Madam Clerk, could you kindly read item 1 into the record?
Item 1 is an ordinance adopting the American Rescue Plan Act grant budget for the period of January 6, 2022 through December 31st, 2024.
Wonderful. Okay, so this has had a lot of testimony. We've had a lot of hearings on this matter over the course of several months. It's exciting that we're here tonight to discuss this. First order of business, we have a package of letters that have come in to the clerk's office on quite a few, advocating for various uses of the opera dollars. I'd like to enter these as Exhibit 18. Madam Clerk, 18 is correct?
Correct.
Councilwoman Castillo, Vice Chair of the committee, makes a motion to call this Exhibit 18. May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. So we enter this into the record, and that will be posted and travel with the documents. Okay. Who is here from the administration to present on this topic?
I am Sarah Silveria, Finance Director.
Wonderful. Anyone else will be testifying on behalf?
No, just me
Okay.
tonight.
All right, awesome. Let's get Ms. Silveria sworn in, please.
Sure. Do you swear under penalty of perjury that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Sarah Silveria, Finance Director.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, Director Silveria.
I believe there is an amendment to the ARP ordinance that has
Okay.
been created.
Just wait till everybody gets it. Committee members, everybody has it? Council members? Okay, wonderful. This amendment is coming from the administration?
This amendment is coming, actually, it was a joint effort between the council affiliates and the administration to work on some changes to the ordinance. Based on the months of hearings that we had before this committee and hearing some of the comments, we worked closely with your Chief of Staff and your internal auditor to make some updates to the amended ordinance, and we're proud of the work we did and really happy with the end result.
Okay. You want to talk about the changes that have been made?
So I can walk through line item by line item if you'd like. Some of the changes were the titles of the sections and moving some of the money around within the categories. There were some sections added to the end about the use of the funding that we'd have just kind of tightening it up, I guess you could say. The ARP spending guidance must comply with the regulations. We have to adhere to the city charter, code of ordinances, that the PRA agency will, their ARP dollars will go through the city's procurement policies. The home repair, there's a section about the home repair program and how it is a 5-year forgivable loan and amounts ranging from $5,000 to $50,000 with the eligibility requirements included.
Do we have this electronically, this amendment?
As in online,
As in, do we have it now so we can put it up?
I believe I can manage.
Yeah, I think we should probably do that. And I think we don't need to do line by line, but I think it would be appropriate at this juncture to talk about the changes in general. My understanding of this budget is it is a collaborative effort between the administration and the council, and it prioritizes a number of items in the budget. And I'd like to go over the priorities. I think that would be appropriate. I think, when you look at this budget, a lot of these items are redlined out, and it might be scary. But everything essentially that was proposed, just about everything that was proposed in the original administration's budget has essentially been maintained, except for a few items shifted perhaps into different categories. The council and the finance team and the administration and the council finance team spent a good deal of time looking at all of these expenditures to make sure that they meshed with our budgets, our priorities, potential federal fundings. And I'm going to ask that you guys provide that testimony, but that's just a broad overview. We've got the document up. So why don't we scroll down to page 3, I think, is where, keep going, right there. Okay, so this document begins anew with the first item, investment in housing. So broad brush on that, if you can talk about that, please. And whether it's the administration or I'm going to ask Jim Lombardi from the council, chief of staff and treasurer, to walk us through, or just give us a broad discussion of the emphasis on the investment in housing.
Sure, Madam Chair. As you mentioned, we worked collaboratively with the administration. We were sent down with some goals, and one of them was seek to find other avenues of funding. For example, if there was another avenue of funding, you may see a decrease here, but that does not mean that it's not supported by the council or the mayor. It's just we've sought other avenues of funding. And I'll give you an example. I know that one of the big ones is cybersecurity and information technology. I think that everybody believes that we should have $2.5 million in that line item. We decreased it by $1 million, but they have access to $1 million in funding in other areas. And I'm sure they have actually more than that, but at a minimum, they have that. So when we met with the administration, clearly they had a lot of information on other funding, and that may have come out after the ARPA regulations came out. In regard, as you mentioned, the priorities of the leadership were investment in community centers, rec centers, infrastructure, zoos, the Providence Public Zoo, the Roger Williams Zoo, in the hurricane barrier, and as you just mentioned, housing.
Now, the hurricane barrier was in the SIP, so we're going to be moving that, correct? It's in
That's
the
correct.
CIP. So
But
there's
it
an
is-
example of the effort
Correct.
to consolidate efforts here. So
Correct.
that was a good move.
Thank you. So if you do go to, there is a change in the housing area, and that's the facilities development program. This is a transfer to the PRA to purchase property. And it's not necessarily in housing, but when they do sell the property, they're developing this type of property. One, it could go towards housing, but if it didn't, the sale would be directed back into the,
Net proceeds of the sale.
right, the net proceeds of the sale, correct, would go to the Providence City Council created Affordable Housing Trust. So, and that is one of the sections of this document. So-
That's at the bottom,
Yes.
section,
So, you know,
section 6. Got it.
so we did increase investment.
So that's a bump up from the original proposal, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then what's next? Investment in water, sewer, broadband, and infrastructures.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, there are some decreases here. There are some other avenues of funding, and there might be some other areas where priorities have just changed.
Okay.
You know, there was downtown open space that was decreased by mutual agreement. But, you know, as I mentioned, to you, priorities have changed.
Talk about investments in community and social disparities.
Sure.
How has that changed?
This is substantially increased in a number of different areas. One is the grants to the community centers is a substantial increase. We, as in the council and mayor, double the food security program. There is a $3 million addition to capital investment of the rec centers. It's pretty much at least a.
The Providence Community Library was increased. Elderly services was increased,
Correct.
and a capital investment in the rec centers.
Correct.
And that isn't even, that's a small piece of what is needed to get our rec centers up to modern day standards. And there is one Elmwood Community Center,
Yes.
a significant amount, because that needed it. And we've been looking for a funding source for that.
That is correct. I think when they initially went out to bid, they had it covered, and they alerted us that I believe they're $1.5 million short to finish the project out, and that's where that came from.
Okay. All right. Recovery of tourism, travel, hospitality sectors. That changed a little bit.
It did, one of the things that increased in this area was the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau. That did increase. We did have a decrease in cultural facilities. And again, I think that's just a priority type change. There's still a sufficient amount of money in there for grants to cultural facilities, but as I mentioned, priorities have changed, i.e. Rec centers, community centers, things like that.
Okay. And the increase to the Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau was intended to try to stimulate activity downtown, economic development, travels, advertising to promote coming back to the city. What else can you tell me? Where are we now? Economic stabilization,
Yes,
business. Well, has that changed at all?
it has. So for example, even though the hardest hit communities, again, have gone down, there are other avenues for them to apply. Just because it was decreased again, doesn't mean that the council or the mayor doesn't support it. I think that there are other avenues to seek funding. And I think that's, there are some minor changes, but that pretty much talks about that.
Okay, and the revenue recovery piece
Yes.
has been increased. I know that we talked about that at length
Yes.
in our finance committee hearings.
And so that involves infrastructure, zoos, and again, hurricane barrier.
Okay. and the hurricane barrier was in a different location and it was it's in this budget, but it's in the revenue recovery because of qualification.
Correct.
Oh, did we ever get a letter from iParametrics? Did we get that?
I don't know if, I don't have a letter, but the way the regulations read is that the annual increase to the general fund budget could be 5.2%. We are well under that.
Thank you.
Yes.
So we're not above the
We are not-
stated
not-
amount. Okay,
no.
thank you very much. Thank you for testifying to that. Okay, and then the last item here is the administration piece. And I see you've added the independent auditor.
Correct.
Okay,
That was a requirement by the council to have an independent auditor, and I believe it would be a CPA, review these documents and provide a quarterly report to the council within 30 days of the close of the quarter.
okay. And that's also been added as section 7.
Correct.
And the section below reads, quarterly audit reports from an independent auditor shall be submitted to the Providence City Council within 30 days of the close of the quarter. During testimony, we heard there's a lot of moving parts on these pieces, and the guidelines for compliance are very strict. So we want to be very careful in making sure that the expenditures are following the rules and regs. And also, if the money is not spent, we want to be able to redirect the dollars. Anything else that you want to share with us?
I think, as I mentioned, I think that this was a collaborative effort. And, as you can see, there were some pluses, there were some minuses, but we really worked on this. I'm going to say, for more than 30 days, just going back and forth on different items and working together to put this ordinance together. It's great.
I do too. I think you guys spent some good time on it, and it emphasizes the priorities that are important to the city of Providence: investment in housing, economic development, infrastructure, and it basically is touching every neighborhood, which is important to all of us. Excited to see the elderly service increase, excited to see increase in our libraries. There's set aside for sidewalk repairs in the revenue recovery piece, as well as food insecurity. So I think we've got a really good budget. Council committee members, any questions?
Yes, I do have one. You don't mind?
Please,
Question.
please, yeah.
I'd like a little bit more explanation when you said downtown open spaces. How are we going to open the space in downtown? We have $10 million there. How are we going to be using this money? Do you have any idea? Clarify me, explain how.
Sure. So I wasn't involved in the specific projects that was presented by the administration. I don't think Sarah is prepared to
Yeah,
answer that directly.
Can't speak to
But what I can say is that this number was substantially higher. In that, I know that, at least I believe that this has to do with the open spaces of Kennedy Plaza going over to,
The river?
the Waterplace Park. So it's an investment in that area.
It's Kennedy Plaza, Waterplace Park improvements for climate resiliency, accessibility, and open space activation. There's a couple of,
Are we moving the river?
we're not moving the river. Did you
No,
say?
river.
That's, I think that's beyond our ability to
It's not within
do
this.
that, yeah.
So nobody has explanation.
Yes, the explanation was we heard testimony from the administration that it was for Kennedy Plaza. We heard quite a bit of explanation from the planning department, talking about Waterplace Park enhancement, raising the level because of anticipated flooding. So it's a lot of work downtown. That's what I can recall from the testimony. We can get you additional information if you would like.
Sure,
Okay,
thank you.
anybody else? Is that it? You've said enough?
Thank
Okay, with that, I would like to, entertain a motion to approve,
We have to sub first.
did I not
We
enter
did
this
not.
up? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's a good thing you're here, clerk. Okay, motion to enter the substitution into the record.
So moved.
Motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor, aye. And opposed, ayes have it. So we have the substitution as a matter of record. Now may I entertain a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
substitution?
As amended.
Motion made, substitution, no,
We did the sub.
we did the sub.
So now we're doing a motion to approve as amended.
Motion to approve is amended, made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carries. Well done. Thank you. No further business before this honorable body. May I have a motion to adjourn made by?
Taking a motion.
Yeah, motion made by Vice Chair Castillo, seconded by Majority Leader Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you, thank you, thank you.